I'm Brianna Yang here with Senora Porras, Bellevue East Spanish 4 and 5 teacher. Thank you for joining me. How are you?
I am excellent today. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm actually pretty good. Thank you. So as you know, this podcast is mainly about giving students an outlet to getting life advice from teachers. So with that said, shall we begin?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So what is one thing that you regret the most?
One thing I regret the most, which is challenging, I don't believe in the concept of regret. I think that everything has a lesson tied to it, and if you start saying that you regret something, that just pulls you into a dark space. But I wish that when I was younger, your age, in high school, I would have had a better understanding of mental health and how to have better self-care. I think that there's a lot of triggers and trauma and things that people don't realize. There's a lot of secondary emotions that there's something underneath of that, and I didn't realize there were a lot of things to deal with. Coming from a more challenging family background, and I wish I would have had an adult tell me those things, because I think I could have avoided some difficult things, which is why I do that for my students.
Giving them like an outlet and stuff?
Giving them what I didn't have. I think that it's like there has to be somebody else that's in that same position. So let me tie in mental health into my lessons, and gratitude and self-care and movement of your body, all of those things that could make a difference for somebody.
I like that. I like that a lot. So with that said, what do you wish you had the courage to do?
That's another challenging one. When I think about courage, it's stepping out even though you're still fearful, right? And I feel like every day we do that in small ways.
Right.
But I don't know that there's an area where I'm lacking a certain amount of courage, I suppose. Kind of a convoluted answer.
So what is the nicest thing that someone has ever done for you?
There's a million and one things I could think of, but one that stands out in my head was a lady who paid it forward. I was hugely pregnant with my first child, and prior to that, this lady had no idea I'd had back-to-back miscarriages, and I was so nervous about giving birth. And so we were at this restaurant, we were downtown at Blue Sushi, and I was going to have sushi because they tell you to avoid that and while you're pregnant, but I was like, I'm at the end of the road, like this kid is coming. So we went out with some friends, we ate so much delicious food, and so I went to the bathroom and I met this woman, and she's like, when are you due? And she just was encouraging me like, birth is going to be amazing. I went back to my table and I asked for the check, and the lady came over and said, that woman across there paid for everything and said, good luck at the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And the lady just waved at me, and I just remember that. I was like, she had no idea. Years later, my kid's going to be 9 tomorrow. I still remember that.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Pay it forward, yeah.
So in that case, aside from her, tell me about someone who you wish you could thank.
If I could speak to one person, but there's probably a reason I haven't been able to talk to her, but it would be my birth mom, because she didn't know she was going to have me. It's a crazy, wild story. But in a nutshell, she was a college student driving through Omaha and started feeling stomach pains and thought she had appendicitis, stopped at Bergen Mercy Hospital, and they were like, you're literally having a baby. And so I was 4 pounds. She was probably 7 months along, had no idea. But she said, put her in a Christian home. I was not expecting this, and that was it, and she left. But I just think that was a powerful choice. Like, she did take the time to process and think about, what kind of a family do I want this child in? Like, what agency do I want in charge of this? That's not to say that the family I was given to was perfect, but I do appreciate her grace that she gave me in making a wise choice before taking off. So if I could thank her, I would say thank you for making a courageous decision to give me a better life, because you were not expecting me, and to make sure it was a Christian home, because my faith is very important to me.
So what are some lessons that just helped you become overall a better person?
Again, with this one, I'm like, how do I narrow it down? Also, I'm a person of many words. If I could, to become a better person, number one would be, I cannot do things on my own strength. People are literally built for community. So I am not able to take care of everything, and I've had to learn how to ask for help when I need it. And how I grew up, I feel like I take a lot of things on, and it's almost a pride thing where I'm like, I don't need help. Well, yes, I do. Number two, always assume the best in people, even if they prove you wrong. If you have just a negative perspective on people, your life is going to be miserable and really long. Also, behind every behavior, there's a reason. That's not to be delusional or to say that everybody is wonderful.
Right.
There are serial killers in the world, and again, they probably have layers underneath of what we can see. So I assume the best in people, and the other one is I am quick to forgive myself and others. I don't like to hold on to resentment. So the other person's free who hurt you, and you are literally poisoning yourself. That does not mean I forget, but you got to let it go at some point.
Right.
And process that. I think every person in the world would benefit from therapy because some kids have not had to face certain hard things. At some point they will. Mm-hmm. So either you face it in childhood, you face it in adulthood. You have to be able to process that and work through it. At some point, everybody would benefit from sitting down with a mental health professional and working through things, because those things don't just disappear. They don't just go away. Mm-hmm. And so if you've had childhood trauma and you don't deal with it, that's going to be carried into every relationship that you have throughout adolescence and adulthood. There's always going to be a season where you need somebody else to hold your hand and walk you through it.
So, really, like, overall, what is the biggest lesson that you think, like, teenagers today should learn?
One is, I just think your life is a gift. And when you ask people, do you think your life is a gift? Very offhandedly, people will be like, yeah, woohoo. But I don't think people treat their bodies like it's a gift. I don't think they treat others like it's a gift. Thinking about what's inside of you is really important, because if you truly think life is a gift, there are all things that we need to be working on. And we need to be more compassionate with each other. But that starts with yourself. So if you don't love yourself and you don't treat yourself like a gift, there's no way that you have the capacity to truly do that for others. And I don't condemn or judge my students when they're making poor choices. I'm sad for them, though, because the consequences can follow you for a very long time. When there's just a lack of self-love, there's a lot of poor decisions, and we treat each other poorly out of that.
Well, with that said, I don't really have any more questions anymore, but thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you kindly. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. You too.